This video covers the most important parts of class from today, March 14th. To follow along with this video, you'll need to open up the ClassKick link that's above this video on the asynchronous work page. The first thing you need to take care of is the do now for today. That's on slide 1. Please pause this video and complete the do now to begin. This week's foundational learning target reviews multiplying fractions by fractions and also positive and negative numbers. So for example, we know that when we multiply 1/2 times 3/4, we're multiplying the numerator times the numerator, 1 times 3, and the denominator times the denominator, 2 times 4, so we have 3/8. The only difference in question 2 is that one of our factors, 3/4, is negative. So we know that our product will be negative because we're multiplying a positive times a negative. 1/2 times 3/4 is still 3/8, but this time it's negative 3/8 since we have a negative times a positive. Today's learning target is I can solve a two-step equation involving negative numbers. You'll see on the agenda that the first thing we did today was review the Lesson 8 exit ticket. Then we started Lesson 9. In most classes, we stopped at Activity 2, and I'm going to have you skip Activity 1 from home. And so we'll be focused on Activity 2 and the Lesson 8 exit ticket. Let's meet on Slide 3. Slide 3 is the cool down or the exit ticket from last week before we started map testing. The cool down asks us to solve the equation 3x plus 4.5 equals 36. And it says if you get stuck, use the diagram. We can see that we have a hanger diagram where 3 groups of x plus 4.5 are equal to 36. We talked about a few different strategies for solving in class. The first is that we can imagine that each of these groups of x and 4.5 is a separate circle, or I guess these are ovals, and we're splitting up 36 into 3 equal groups. And so what we really did here is 36 divided by 3. Now I know that 36 divided by 3 is equal to 12, which means that each of these groups that I created with the blue circles is equal to 12. At that point, I'm able to solve the equation. I know that x plus 4.5, so each group of x plus 4.5, is equal to 12. Now, to solve the equation, I can use inverse operations, which is 12 minus 4.5, which equals 7.5, and that's x. And that's how I solve. Now, notice that what I did here was take my hanger diagram and do the same thing to each side. On the left side, I split my diagram into 3 equal groups so that I was left with a group of x plus 4.5. Then I also split 36 into 3 equal groups so that each group was equal to 12. And that's one way that you could solve this problem. Another strategy that we talked about in class was something that we've been affectionately calling the chop-off method. Here's what it looks like. If I get rid of 3 groups of 4.5, I know that I'm taking off 3 times 4.5 from the left side of my diagram. 3 times 4.5 is equal to 13.5. Now remember, whatever I do on the left side of the diagram, I also need to do on the right. And so if I take away 13.5 on the left side of the diagram, on the right side of the diagram, I also need to take away 13.5. And so I'm going to get rid of 13.5 on both sides. If I get rid of 13.5, I'm left with 36 minus 13.5, which is equal to 22.5. And that 22.5 is split up between 1, 2, 3 groups of x. In other words, 22.5 equals 3x, because every x is the same. And so again, I can use inverse operations. 22.5 divided by 3 is equal to 7.5, and I know that x equals 7.5. Now again, X is the same using both strategies, but there are slightly different ways of doing the same thing to both sides. This time we subtracted 13.5 from both sides in order to solve the equation. Solve the equation, meaning find the value of x. You don't need to write anything specific on slide 3. The purpose of this activity is more to think about what mistakes you might have made when you did this exit ticket the first time. Let's take a look at slide 4. Slide 4 was the main activity for today. In slide 4, I asked you to solve each equation and be prepared to explain your reasoning. Now remember, to solve each equation is to find out what x is equal to, or what number could be replaced with x. So what number plus 6 equals 4? What number minus negative 4 equals 6? And so on. Your directions are to complete slide 4 on your own. You can use all the space below and label each of your work, questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have questions about anything on slide 4, make sure that you send me an email. When you're finished with slide 4, the only other thing you need to take care of is to look at the homework for tonight, which is for all of this week. It's posted in Delta Math. You don't need to finish it tonight, but I just recommend taking a look at a few problems so that you don't leave it all until Thursday.